Well, from roads to rivers and lakes, for that matter, boaters on Lake George may soon have to pay to keep foreigners out of the lake. Now, it sounds pretty crazy, but as I discovered, these foreigners are causing harm to the ecology of one of this area's greatest natural resources. The familiar sounds of fun on Lake George, but this could be the one that ultimately makes that symphony of summer possible. That pressure wash could save the Queen of American Lakes from an ecological battle royal.
We don't want anything new coming into Lake George.
Walt Lender is part of an army of environmentalists and local officials hoping to clean, drain, and dry every boat that's launched in the lake to keep aquatic hitchhikers from altering the makeup of the lake.
Some of them you can see hanging on a boat trailer. You can see a plant hanging off a propeller. But some of them are microscopic, and those are the ones that we're finding are the most challenging. The spiny water flea, for instance, is nearly invisible to the naked eye. You can just barely see it like a tiny speck.
In the past 25 years, Lake George has had to fight a Eurasian milfoil infestation that's cost millions, zebra mussels, curly pondweed, and Asian clams. And now a tiny crustacean called a spiny water flea that's threatening the digestive tracts of the lake's longtime inhabitants.
The smaller fish eat it. It's not good for them. It's not nutritious. It clogs up their digestion. So it's not good for the food chain.
This particular species really has no antidote, is that right?
There's no way to eradicate it or even manage it in the lake.
And that brings us back to the boat launch and the big push to make sure no invasive species makes it from another body of water into this one. Each boater is asked by a lake steward to have his boat washed off when it comes into the lake.
It's not that big a burden to just, spend a few minutes, clean the boat out, make sure there's nothing, hitchhikers or anything like that on the boat, and then, you're on your way.
Dave Wick is the executive director of the Lake George Park Commission. It's his job to regulate the waters.
Is it going to be mandatory inspections of all boats and decontamination? That's a possibility. Is it going to be continue on just with the education process and the boat stewards that you talked to earlier? That's a possibility. So I would say come back and see us.
Is there a danger of this becoming less of a vacationer's paradise?
If we don't do what we need to do now, it could be a situation that's beyond our control, and then people won't want to come to Lake George anymore. We can't have that.
But it's not all doom and gloom. This bay was one of the first places where the Asian clam was discovered. But 2 years and $2 million later, it's all but clear of that invasive species.
We want this to be a resource that people get to enjoy as long as we don't use it.
Now, the Lake George Park Commission is holding a public meeting tonight on this very subject, how to best protect the lake. And the session is at 6:30. You got about an hour and 15 minutes. It's at the Fort William Henry Conference Center.